I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And in fact, if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is A Crowning Glory. But before we get into that, I want to be sure and wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday over this period of time, because we do have a lot of blessings to count, and this is probably a happier Christmas than last Christmas was, and yet we can still try to improve it even more next year. So we have a lot of nice things to look forward to, and that's why I want to be sure and wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Even if all you're doing is getting a good rest, then that is pretty nice, because right now we are having the possibility for all of us to have a crowning glory occur somewhere in our life. And the reason why is because there are 5 planets in the practical, no-nonsense, realistic Earth signs. And that is because the Sun and Mercury, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Pluto are all in Capricorn, and they are being trined and supported by Uranus in Taurus. And these 5 planets are also trining the sign of Virgo. Now, these 3 earth signs represent what we call the material houses. And that simply means that Taurus rules your second house of how you make your money and what you spend it on. And Virgo rules your job, your employer-employee relations, and your health, and occupations which are of service to others. And then Capricorn rules your 10th house of career, and that's where all the really good planets are right now. So it rules your 10th house of career, and it rules large corporations or government agencies, and its ruler is Saturn. And Saturn is one of these no-nonsense, slow-moving, sort of slug-it-out kind of planets that demand that you do everything right, and if you don't, you got to do it over. And Saturn is a slow mover. It takes a long time to get around a chart even once, and that is it takes 28 to 30 years for it to go through the 12 houses of your chart even once. So this is a time when we can be looking forward to something that could be a crowning glory. And that can originate from something that you did in your past. It could be because you have worked in some sort of occupation for a long time. Maybe you're getting recognition for that. Maybe you're thinking of retiring. Maybe it's time to retire. So certainly they'd give you a party and they would recognize your steady efforts and your devotion to their cause, which would be very nice. So that's a crowning glory as well. Or it can be that over the years you have successfully increased your skills in one way or another. And so you're not where you started. You certainly are able to do more and more complex things. And that can be getting evaluated very highly by sort of the experts or people who are your peers in your profession. And they can be wanting to give you a crown of glory for your achievements, because they may have continued. In other words, some people, when they start a job, they're just really good at it at the start, but nothing else develops. However, if you're a person that expanded your skills during your career, and everybody knows it, then you can certainly be getting a crowning glory or wonderful recognition for that right now. And that would be by rather high up people or a prestigious organization that you belong to or something like that. Or a third way that you could get a crowning glory is financial. And that is because it may be that you have developed a rather good reputation for whatever you do, and somebody thinks that they'd like to pay you for that. Now, I don't know if they would pay you by hiring you to do that, or it can be that due to your unique or high skill level, they may want to bestow a gift upon you or something that can help develop your talents further. It might be something connected to your education or further education. So there's the possibility of some financial reward coming your way as well. And that is all because right now, today, that Sun and Mercury, the planet of the mind, and Venus, the planet of partnership and peace and the law, which is conjuncting Pluto, the planet of deep truth. Since these two are exactly conjunct, it simply means that people are quite willing right now to face the truth. And you should be too, particularly about your talent. You know, a lot of people never think that they're perfect, particularly if they're Virgos. Virgos never think they're perfect, but they strive for it all the time. And so reaching the level of excellence, yeah, a lot of Virgos do that. And still they want to reach higher than that. But it can be that you have reached a level of excellence that, you know, you should acknowledge. You know, you should be proud of yourself. You know, it's like, Merry Christmas, you've done a good job. And when you throw in the fact that we've all been under the pressure and the surprises and the delays and the disappointments for 2 years of a pandemic, everyone should get a crowning glory, I think, because we made it through all that. And, you know, somehow we kept our sense of humor, or somehow we continue to be people that would help our neighbors or help each other, to show compassion. So you could be getting recognized for things like that right now, which would just be great. And so because it is involving so many planets in Capricorn, it would involve your 10th house of career. And because the 10th house of career is not just the company that you work for or the agency that you work for, it also is your reputation in the community. And so that could involve people who do a lot of volunteer work, but very consistently. And they could be getting a crowning glory now for doing that. And that's pretty nice. And they certainly would have deserved it. So this crowning glory is going to emphasize your career, or your standing in the community, or your reputation. And I think that this is a time when you can be very proud of yourself. Venus is in Capricorn. That's a really good planet. And so this is a time when, if you face the truth about the different skills that you had to learn, none of which you were hoping for, but you just had to learn them because of the pandemic, you should pat yourself on the back about that. That's what helped you get through it. So I think that in a funny kind of a way, you know, we certainly don't want any more of these illnesses around, but we can all be rather proud of how we reacted to them. And I think that in that sense, everyone deserves a crown of glory for steadfastly sticking with it and doing their best. And so that's why I'm wishing you a Merry Christmas. You really deserve it. However, there's still more work to be done. And the reason why is that there are some planets which can cause disruption. And we may as well know about that, is so that we can sort of realize if something like that happens, maybe we can think a little bit in advance of what we would want to do to prepare for it. One of the things that we need to prepare for is the fact that the moon today is in Leo. And Leo is a fixed sign, and it does rule leadership. And it is being opposed by Jupiter and Saturn is a malefic planet in Aquarius, sign of the future. And all three of those planets are being squared by Uranus in Taurus, a fixed financial sign. And so since that is a very threatening T-square, and because the moon in Leo is being trined by Mars, you know, Mars is an aggressive planet, but it is a go-getter. And Mars is in Sagittarius right now, which does rule foreign countries. And Mars is aggressive and wants to get out there and, you know, really charge forward. And that's not what the moon is like. These two planets trine each other from Sagittarius, Mars is Sagittarius and the moon in Leo. That moon is already under stress because of planets in fixed signs that are squaring and opposing it. And besides, the moon is gentle. So if somebody comes along and says, hey, I want you to do everything my way, that may not go over. And that is because these two planets, Mars in Sagittarius and the moon in Leo, also trine the sign of Aries. And Aries is the sign of new beginnings. But unfortunately, because they work so differently, even if they are in a good aspect to each other, and because the moon is already being harassed by harsh challenges from other planets, I think that this is a time when we have to be a little bit careful, because an argument or a heated discussion among leaders, Leo rules leadership, could erupt just suddenly, right out of the blue. And it would be about some sort of new beginning. Remember, they trine Aries. Some sort of new beginning that is under contention. It's very contentious. So leaders who get together and they're talking about a new beginning are not getting along. Mainly because one of them really wants to be the boss. And so there is you know, they can't really get together. And that is why there is a new beginning that is in contention. Well, Mars is a planet that rules war, and it's in the sign of foreign countries, Sagittarius. So I think that we should be careful. And if you're traveling for the holidays, which you might be doing, I would be extra careful. Just sort of watch where you walk. Keep your eyes on your own possessions and your family. And just keep a real low profile. Because a heated discussion or an argument could just erupt like that. And you'd want to be prepared for that if you could be. The other thing that we still have to work at is the fact that Jupiter has come up now. It's getting ready to leave Aquarius, and that is the sign of the future. And Jupiter is actually at the 29th degree of Aquarius. And that is called the degree of fate. So it opposes that moon in Leo, and it squares Uranus in Taurus. And what it means, since Uranus in Taurus is a fixed financial sign that happens to be very well supported right now, and that's because there's 4 planets in Capricorn trining it. So it simply means that somebody's grab for the money, in other words, somebody who always wanted the money no matter what. You know, it came before love, it came before ambition. It was just they wanted the money. Well, a grab for the money now will not work. You know, that Uranus in Taurus, it's not so threatened. It's got 4 planets in Capricorn backing it up, and they're really good planets. So a grab for the money by somebody who always wanted money more than anything else is not going to work. And why is that? Because there are so many planets in Capricorn, and they are trining Uranus in Taurus. And what it means is this crowning glory that any one of us could get in one way or another. This crowning glory cannot be bought. It is a crowning glory based on your merit, on your duty, on your efforts, on the rise in your skills over the years, on your increased knowledge. That's merit. It means you did the work. You deserve the crown of glory. And because the crown of glory is based on merit, not on money, the people who want to grab the money and say, oh, aren't I great because I'm going to grab the money, I'll be richer for this. That isn't what a crown of glory is about. Particularly with Venus conjuncting Pluto, and Pluto rules deep psychological transformation and change and the deep truth. And they're both at the 26th degree, which reduces to 8 the number of success. It simply means that the people who are going to be successful now, they never did it for the money in the first place. I mean, we all like to get paid, but they did it in order to do their best. They did it not just to be excellent, but to be even better. Or they did it because it needed doing. People needed help. And that came from the heart. And that took a lot of hard work. And that's why this crowning glory looks like it's going to happen. And I don't know to whom or how, but it looks like it's coming up. It's either, it may not be Christmas in 2 days. It may not be until after the first of the year. But it certainly looks like the people who deserve a crown of glory are going to get one in one way or another. Because they worked hard for it and they deserve it. And it was all based on their merit and their increased skills. So I hope that's you. And once again, I want to wish you Merry Christmas. So let's see what that means to all 12 of the sun signs. Aries. This is a time when you have a lot of planets that are sort of headed your way, Aries. And the reason why is because Mars, your own ruler, now is trining your sun. It's in Sagittarius, and it's trining your sun. And that's a good aspect. That can really energize you, Aries. And the moon in Leo is also trining your sun. Oh, so wouldn't that be great? So, I mean, you could have a little romance. If you were thinking of going on a trip, you might have a little romantic encounter, or at least a very nice time. And that would be wonderful. But Aries, there is also a very strong possibility that there can be some sort of eruption, angry eruption among leaders when they're talking about something that is contentious, that does involve a new beginning. And I think you would be a person that would be really keeping your ears open for that because you do new beginnings very well. But one of them isn't going to go too well right now. And the reason why is that not everyone's on the same page. And that is because some people just want to overtake something. That's Mars in Sagittarius. And other people are saying, you know, wait a minute, let's think about this, or let's decide how to do that, or, you know, they're not in a rush. So that's why it's whatever they want to do is in contention. And so this could affect you, Aries. And that's why I'm just saying, for your own protection, try to sort of keep your antenna up. And if you sense any kind of hostile atmosphere around you, try to withdraw from it. Because I don't see you being helped by this. That's because between Mars trining your sun and the moon trining your sun, it's Mars, your own ruler, that's going to charge forward. Excuse me. But it might not put you in a good light. And particularly since this is the holidays. Mars is a planet of war. You know, so you don't want to be around people that want to go to war right now, Aries. You don't even want to be around any people that want to argue. That's not the way to spend the holidays. So I think that you're going to have to just try to cool it if you can, Aries, and just enjoy whatever you do on the holidays. And if somebody's trying to bait you into an argument, don't let them. Just turn around and walk away. That's because you owe yourself a nice holiday, and you don't need to have people bothering you. So think about your own happiness first, Aries, and then protect yourself if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time when you are 10 times stronger than you look, Taurus. And a Taurus is usually very strong anyway. I mean, they're not afraid of hard work, ever. In fact, they're known for hard work. And Taurus rules the neck and the throat. And so every Taurus has a lovely singing voice. Maybe they're only singing in the shower, but it sounds great. And so this is a time when you need to realize that in some way that has to do with your career, you can be sitting in a pretty good spot right now. Now, yes, the moon in Leo is squaring your sun, and yes, Saturn and the Jupiter in Aquarius are squaring your sun. But those 4 planets in Capricorn, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, and Pluto, are all trining your sun. You have never quite had that much backup this year, but you've got it now. And I would say that Taurus, in one way or another, love triumphs. And by that, Venus is your own ruler, and Venus is trining your sun. And so this may be a time when, yes, you're strong, yes, you can charge forward if you want to, but why do it? A Taurus loves to be comfortable. These are the holidays. You should be home relaxing with your feet up, watching a good football game or else watching a good movie. I mean, you work hard. Why shouldn't you take a rest? So, Taurus, there is the possibility that a crowning glory is coming your way. Or, vicariously, it can be that you are on some sort of committee that could nominate someone else for a crowning glory. In other words, maybe you know someone else that is deserving of that, and you're helping them achieve that, which would be great. So I think you're going to have a pretty good Christmas. I think it's going to be a little quieter than you usually have, and I think that this is a time, Taurus, when you may not feel like participating as much as you usually do. And that is because we are facing a new year. And of the 4 eclipses that occur in 2022, 2 of them are in your sign. The other, and yours is a fixed financial sign. The other 2 are in the other fixed financial sign, Scorpio. So you are going to have to actually be doing a very careful accounting of your finances next year. And maybe that's why you might be a little quieter now, not because you're worried about anything, but simply because you want to make sure that all the figures add up the right way. And that just takes a little quiet thinking about. So I hope you enjoy a nice holiday, and that the people that you know that have put in years of service or have increased their skills quite a bit, or have a very good idea that just needs a little bit of funding, if you can help out on that, that would be great, Taurus. I do think you could do that, too. You could afford that. But as far as partying a lot, I don't think that you're going to be in the mood for that this year. I think that you need to be thinking a little bit more about next year, and that is why you might want to be a little quieter. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time when you can sort of be very lighthearted, and you can be sort of taking things easily, and you can be maybe even not worry too much about things in your own sphere, in your own space. I don't think, or your own job. I don't think you're too worried, Gemini, because Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius are both trining your sun. And Jupiter is at the fateful 29th degree in Aquarius, which rules the future. So there is something that is being decided about your future, Gemini. Now, maybe you're the one that's deciding it. And whatever you're thinking of, it is going to turn out quite well in the future. That doesn't mean that you're going to just jump up and do something grand and glorious right now. But you may be quietly thinking of, how could I just squeeze in a little bit more time to do this, or to start that, or who could I make friends with that could help me with a new project? You're pretty good at that, Gemini, of bringing people together, even for temporary projects. You're very good at that. And so I think that this is a time when you could sort of be thinking a lot about that. So I don't see it being accomplished at the moment because it is the holidays. But after the first of the year, I could see you deciding that you were going to branch out a little bit. And the funny thing is, it's like you're branching out in your own backyard. You're not going to go a great distance to put together something that you think might work. And the reason why is that Mars in Sagittarius is opposing your sun. Neptune in Pisces is squaring your sun. Instinctively, you may feel it's a little bit better to stick to your own backyard right now. Or it's a little bit better just to keep a low profile and sort of nose around and gather bits of information from different sources. That is the way a Gemini operates very effectively. A Gemini rules journalism. Picking up the facts here and there or wherever the facts are, and then fully understanding the story. So I think you're going to be able to operate exactly the way you want to operate right now, as long as you stay out of far-reaching things. That Mars in Sagittarius, stay away from that, Gemini. That Mars is backed up. The moon is trining it. It has some support. I think not quite enough to do what it wants, but it could at least argue a lot right now. And I don't think you would be able to achieve anything if you got in the middle of an argument. So just keep it easy if you can. And you might be surprised at what you find out. Just gathering bits and pieces of information. It's sort of like doing your homework, but it's going to result in something very good for you. So keep up the good work, Gemini. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when, Cancer, you may feel a little left out. And the reason why is that there aren't any planets in your sign, but there are in Capricorn. There is the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Pluto, and they are all opposing your sun sign. So the emphasis is on practical reality, on jobs, on people's career, on people's reputation in the community, on sort of on who you know, and how to get things done in sort of a big way. Capricorn rules big business and big government agencies. Well, your sign, Cancer, rules the home and the family. And it has a lot to do with food. Cancer rules farming. It also rules anything that comes out of the ground. And so farming has to do with plants. But Cancer also rules mining. Any mines, those all come out of the ground too. And so there are different things that you can be thinking about or concentrating on that people may not realize you're concerned with in any way. And that's because they can't see you out doing it. But what I think is that this is a time when you're thinking about things. And that's good. I think you have the time to do that right now, Cancer. That's funny because Cancers love their homes and there's always too much going on over the holidays and things are usually in a mess. That doesn't bother them too much. So lots of family gatherings, but somewhere I think that you are still thinking about some things that you care very deeply about. But that doesn't mean that you're out doing something about them. It just means that you are reminding yourself of what is important to you, what your priorities are. And this is a good time to think about your priorities before you think of your public reputation or before you think of any crowning glory. It's just, what are your priorities? And possibly they may have changed over the years. The world has changed, so people's priorities can change. And so it may also be at this time in your life that your priorities have changed, because let's say that you were always devoted to your children. Well, now they grew up. So you don't have to do that so much anymore. And so you could be thinking a lot about what you really care about. And I think that a lot of people, the one thing this pandemic has taught all of us is that life is short. And it's shorter than we think it is. You know, I guess we all hope to live to be 100, but we're not all going to make that. And so what really matters now, people should be paying attention to. And that's what I think you're doing, Cancer. I think you're paying attention to your home and your family. That's sort of automatic. You always do that. But you're also thinking of, okay, what are my priorities now? And how much time do I have left to support them? Because remember, this crowning glory that I'm talking about is based on merit, not money. Is what is worth getting up and going to work every day for? You know, what are your priorities? So this is a good time to be thinking about all of that, Cancer, because some of your priorities may have changed just because time marches on. And so you might sort of want to review. It's almost as if you were sort of thinking of maybe taking a new path in the coming year. And you may be just asking yourself, which path should I take? And this is a good time to do that. So I wish you the best of luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time that certainly the light can be shining on you, Leo, because the moon is in your sign today. Unfortunately, it is receiving a lot of devotion and energy from Mars in Sagittarius, which is trining the moon. And so there can be a lot of activities or information exchanges or whatever with people who live in foreign countries or live far away destinations. And so you can be thinking, oh, gee, I just wanted to take it easy for the next week, but I've got to do this, this, and this for these other people. Well, that sooner or later could get under your skin a little bit, Leo, because everybody owes themselves a little rest during the holidays. And it can be that you're finding that other people are sort of pushing your buttons. And, you know, you can't, Leos are very generous with their time. But still, you can't please everybody. And this is a time for us at year's end to take stock of things. And just sit down and say, okay, this is where I am now. Where do I want to go next year? You should take some time out to think about that, Leo, because as I mentioned last week, all 4 eclipses in 2022 are in financial signs, and they all square your sun. And Saturn in Aquarius will still be opposing your sun for the next 2 years. Okay, so things are not going to be as easy as you think. And just the fact that Leos like to be successful. They sort of like to be out in the public eye. They like to have the attention. And they're natural born leaders. But there's just a lot of other things to worry about. And one of them is certainly going to be money. Remember, a grab for the money will not work. And so if you were sort of hoping for some grand and glorious, pennies from heaven to fall on you this Christmas, I don't think it's going to happen. And that's all right. I think that when we're counting our blessings, they have to do with love a lot more than money. We're lucky to have our loved ones. And we're lucky to be doing something we love. Or we're lucky in the things that we love, that we're still well and able to do some things that we love. And so that's sort of the direction your thoughts could be going in, Leo. I have a feeling they aren't going that way, that you're really thinking about the money. I would urge you to don't overtax your mind on that, Leo, because it's not coming. It's not coming now. And somebody is going to erupt in a contentious argument about a new beginning. You could be thinking of a new beginning, and you may have thought that somebody was just going to come right along and do it your way, and that is not going to happen. And that's why you need to go a little slower now, and just realize you can be successful, but it's going to take a little longer than you'd like. But you could still be very successful. It's just always going to depend on the money in 2022. And so I would say, keep the costs very low so that your bills are low. And then you won't have as much to worry about. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a very fortunate time for you. And that is because that crowning glory that is deriving from these 5 planets in Earth signs are trining each other are going to do you a world of good, Virgo, because Uranus in Taurus is trining your sun, and so are the Sun, Mercury, your own ruler, and Venus and Pluto are trining your sun. That crowning glory, which could be very good career news, is definitely coming your way. I think that, Virgo, that the decision has already been made, but I'm not so sure you know that yet. And, that is because this is year end, but I think people have to get to the start of the next year before changes are announced. But the crowning glory is definitely coming your way. And I think it's the kind that acknowledges your increased skill level. In other words, you could have been working along, and when you were first hired, you had this many skills. But you have been steadily working along. Now you have this many skills, many more. And your peers can see that. They can see the quality of your work has increased. And that is why it is doing your public reputation a lot of good, Virgo. And it can be that as people are looking a lot more closely at, who's doing the work and what are their results, they can be quite pleased with yours. And that is why the crowning glory is coming your way. So congratulations. It might not be until after the first of the year, but congratulations, you're going to get some very good news. Lucky you. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra. This is a time when I think that, you can almost feel as if you missed the boat on something a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because yours is a cardinal sign, And there are 4 planets, and they're all in just one cardinal sign, Capricorn. So the Sun, Mercury, Venus, your own ruler, and Pluto are all in Capricorn squaring your Sun. And they are backed up by a trine from Uranus in Taurus. Now your sign's doing okay too. Your sign is backed up by a trine from Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. So you do have backup. You do have some very old friends or prestigious friends that like you quite a bit. And because Jupiter is trining your Sun at the 29th degree of fate in Aquarius, I would say that some future plan is being decided right now. And it may benefit you. That Jupiter trines your Sun, Libra. It may benefit you. But some people are going to say, well, you have to have certain qualifications. You have to have certain skills. You have to have certain awards and honors. You know, they could say everything that they want. But the real truth, Libra, is that you already have the talent. The moon in Leo is sextiling your Sun. Leo rules talent. It's generally talent in the entertainment field or in the sports field, but it rules talent. And you've already got it. So with Jupiter trining your Sun right now, I don't think that you can please everyone right now, Libra, and I'm urging you not even to try. Why bother? Because your talent speaks for itself. And the people that appreciate it are the people that you should be paying attention to. You don't have to please people that are hypercritical. Let them go on their way. They would be hypercritical about anybody. So they don't have anything nice to offer anyway. So stick to people that appreciate your talent. It doesn't matter how many or how few. It matters that they care. Because this crowning glory has to do with merit, with what a person's talent really is. And how hard they have worked to develop that talent. So I think you're doing just fine, Libra. If some government organization or somebody in a large corporation doesn't appreciate you, it's their loss, not yours. So don't worry about it. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time that can be a little quieter than usual. It's sort of quiet for Cancer too. And the reason why is that there aren't any planets in your sign, Scorpio, which is nice. It lets you quiet down at Christmas and sort of, you know, you don't have to be up running around doing a million things. If you only just quietly enjoyed your holiday, that would be a really nice gift you could give yourself. Where you're not out trying to please anybody, you're not out trying to seal a deal, or you're not out trying to sign some papers. You know, let it go, Scorpio. And work as hard as you can at enjoying your holidays. And you may as well. It's almost like stepping back from a crowded picture. Okay, so just during the holidays, you don't have to be in the picture. And the reason why is the moon in Leo is squaring your Sun. Oh, so there's somebody around who's not going to be pleased no matter what you do. They won't be pleased. They have a big ego. And they like their ego stroked. They don't want to be appreciative of anybody else. And then Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius are also squaring your Sun, and Jupiter is at the 29th degree of fate right now. So something is hanging in the balance that involves your future. And I don't think there's much you can do about it. I think you just are going to have to wait. Wait on it. And then Uranus in Taurus is opposing your Sun sign, and it is so well backed up right now that unfortunately, Scorpio, you may find that, that the bills are getting higher, or that you owe more money on something, or the taxes will be higher next year. You might find out something like that. But if I were you, I would give it a rest over the holiday and just relax. One of the things that you could do, Scorpio, quietly, because Venus is a wonderful planet, and it is exactly conjuncting your other ruler, Pluto, in Capricorn. And they sextile your sun, and they sextile your other ruler, Mars. And so you could very quietly think to yourself of how much stronger you have become this year. Okay, so the year's almost over, and you are not where you were when the year began. You have advanced. If you lost your footing for a while, you have regained it. And in fact, I think that one of the surprising things that you may discover in your quiet thoughts, Scorpio, is how much better you operate right now. How much better you understand things and can do things. And you may have learned how to do some things that you never thought you were going to have to do, but you're doing them very well. So you can be very proud of yourself. Why don't you just take a few minutes and even say a little prayer of thanks that you're a lot further ahead this year than you were last year at this time. So I hope you have a good holiday. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius, you could be a ball of fire, and that is because Mars is in your sign, and it is trining the moon in Leo. And so Leo rules love affairs. You might have your mind on romance, Sagittarius, or traveling, which you like to do. And yet at the same time, both Mars and your sign can sometimes make a person overreact to things or act too quickly. Maybe not think everything out, but instead they act impulsively. So that's a little thing you got to watch out for, Sagittarius, because you could do all those things. What would it be beneficial for you to do those things? Not at all. No. And that's because you don't have anybody else by your side that wants to do that too. You could have meet someone else who is sort of got a good ego and wants to be a leader, and yet a sudden argument or a heated discussion could absolutely erupt right when you're least expecting it, because what you're both talking about is under contention. In other words, there's no agreement. And so I think it's really that there may be somebody in your life that does not see things the way you see them. And I would suggest that in order to evaluate the long-term consequences of realizing that, you should wait till Mars gets out of your sign. And then, because Sagittarians are thinkers. And you should wait till Mars gets out of your sign and then carefully say to yourself, well, in the light of day, maybe I was a little hasty. Or maybe there are ways that we can agree on some things. In other words, getting away from that point of contention, getting a little bit more back in the middle with somebody. That is perfectly possible, but I don't think it's too possible with Mars in your sign. You're going to have to wait till that planet just zips out. But otherwise, you have to be very careful of people who can be lying to you. And the reason why is that Neptune rules deception, and it's at home in the sign it rules, Pisces, and it's direct, and it is squaring Mars in your sign. There's either a really big lie that's going to be exposed, or else you're going to be somewhat shocked by, for instance, you're a person that might know the truth about something, but you could be absolutely shocked at the story that comes out that really represents a cover-up, doesn't represent the truth at all. Maybe you know that. So I would say you need to be a little bit careful and try not to believe everything people tell you right now, Sagittarius, because, they might be painting a picture that benefits them, but I don't think it benefits you. But if you act hastily, or you erupt, or you're in some kind of argument that is involving a contentious new beginning, you're not going to win it. So try to stay away from it, is what I'm saying. And Merry Christmas anyway. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when I think that you're going to have a very fulfilling Christmas. That there is a crown of glory coming your way, Capricorn. And it can be through something that has to do with a retirement. It can be because you realize that you are at a point now where you've sort of turned a corner and your skill level has increased. So sometime either earlier this year or last year, you may have taken on some responsibility to learn more about something or to develop a skill of yours, and you have done that. And that is where your crown of glory can come from, is that you have advanced in the eyes of the public and with your employer. And this is simply a time when I think you're going to be very quietly and deeply satisfied with where you are. Because one thing about this pandemic, we couldn't just charge it forward and do what we wanted to do. So because there was so much delay in the pandemic, a whole lot of people, and that would include you, Capricorn, started to do things that they'd been putting off for a long time. I mean, what else did they have to do? They couldn't advance, During those lockdowns, nobody could do anything. And so you may have spent more time this year than you realize, Capricorn, catching up with things, doing jobs that you'd been putting off for years, and sort of clearing the decks, getting things, without you realizing what you were going to do next year. I think that you have reached a point where you are sort of clearing away problems from the past. And I would say that's because you're getting ready to do something new next year. And also you would perhaps feel in better shape to do that. Or you'd have more skills and you're more highly qualified. And you would have the backing of some pretty influential people with that. Venus is conjuncting Pluto, which rules management. And so you may be getting a crowning glory or some sort of recognition from people who are your peers, or people who can just see how well you're doing right now. And they may not have known about all the things you had to catch up on behind the scenes, but they can see that you're in good shape. And so I think you're going to have a deeply satisfying holiday. And that you're really more prepared for the new year than you think you are. You're going to do just fine. Every eclipse next year trines or sextiles your sun. It doesn't get better than that, Capricorn. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time when I think that you are on the brink of something where it's sort of like now or never. And the reason why is that Jupiter, remember, is at the 29th degree of fate in your sign. It's getting ready to leave your sign. It'll leave next week. And it won't be back for a lot of years. And so Saturn will stay behind in your sign, and it will remain in your sign for 2 more years and be constantly squared by Uranus, your own ruler in Taurus. So I would say, Aquarius, that money will be an issue for you next year, and it will be an issue for you for sort of what you might call the foreseeable future. I mean, it will be longer than just next year. And that could be because that if you are deciding, okay, I'm making a commitment here, I'm going to try to go through and get this project off the ground, or do something, well, it will take money. They all do. And you'll have to be careful about where you get the money or how you account for it, or just take small steps so that you don't have really big bills. That would be good. But the point is that, Aquarius, something is being decided right now that is involving a future project. And I'm wondering if it is, I don't think it's really bad news. But, I mean, it's Jupiter that's at the end of your sign. Jupiter's a great planet. The sad thing is it's at the end of your sign. But you've had it in your sign for most of this year. You have been able to modify your skills or your interests to fit a more satisfying lifestyle for yourself. And you have that, Aquarius. I mean, you have made it through a few things. But now the moon in Leo is opposing your sun, where you have Saturn and Jupiter. So the problem is that there are other people to consider in your plans. And yet I don't think they're in your plans. I think you have your plans about what you want to do, and you're not willing to add more people to those plans until they're really solid. So you may not be telling people about whatever you're going to do next year. Maybe you're just sort of mulling it over. And that's okay. Jupiter is going into Pisces. It'll be right ahead of your sun sign. And that means that you, sometime in 2022, in case I forget to tell you this later on, you are going to be able to make a soft landing. So let's say you got overly ambitious and you sort of overshot the mark on some project, you'll still be able to make a soft landing. That doesn't mean everything's going to work out, but it means you don't get hurt quite as bad as you thought you might. You won't be hurt. And that might be because you have some pretty staunch support behind you. Saturn just makes you work hard, but it rewards you as well, and it's in your sign for the next 2 years. Think of it as a way of protecting you, because what it's doing is that it's making you sort of keep your nose to the grindstone. Well, that keeps you out of trouble, Aquarius. You won't get in trouble if you're working all the time, and that may be what you'll need to do. But at the end of 2 years, you will really be successful. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Pisces. Well, Pisces, you need to watch out for the unforeseen. And what I mean by that is Saturn, or Mars in Sagittarius is squaring Neptune in your sign. Now, Neptune is actually the stronger planet because it's the ruler of your sign, and it's at home there, and it's direct. That's great. But it isn't being fortified by anything. There aren't any other planets in water signs. And so it is somewhat open to what you might call attack. And that could be happening because Mars in Sagittarius is squaring Neptune in your sign. And so there is the possibility that if you are, say, going back to school, you're going to have to be taking some pretty tough courses. They could be very hard. You might have to take them twice. That's okay, as long as you learn it. Or it can be that matters in the courts or concerning people in foreign countries can be problematic for you in one way or another. And that would not be going away. I mean, that could be occurring right now, in fact. So Pisces, you have to be very careful in your actions over the holidays, the whole time that Mars is squaring your Sun and Neptune. Because somebody would want to lash out at you. Somebody might want to tell you what to do. Well, why? I mean, you've got a brain. You know how to live your life. You don't need somebody else bossing you around and telling you what to do. So, I'm just urging you not to overreact to anything right now. Since Mars is square your Sun, that wouldn't do you any good. But on the other hand, you need to stay away from contentious people or situations. Anybody that looks like they want to argue about anything, you need to leave, Pisces. You need to have another appointment that you have to go to. But don't stay around anybody that wants to argue with you. First of all, they would give you the impression that they think they're smarter than you. And, this is ingrained in their mind. You will never change their mind. They really think like that. So do you really need them in your life, Pisces? I don't think so. Pisces are pretty smart people just by themselves, And they do miraculous things. Pisces rules miracles. And it rules dreams. It also rules escape. And what I'm saying is, don't be around anybody that's urging you to escape from anything. Because it would benefit them, but not you. Not at this time. So, sort of keep your nose to the grindstone and work hard, Pisces. And just realize there are no planets in the other water signs right now. You have no backup. So I think you just need to stand on your own 2 feet and be really as busy and as quiet as you can be. Anybody that looks like they want to argue with you, you really have to be just too busy for that. Make an excuse and get out of there. But don't argue with anybody, because they would be very intent on hurting you. And that's cruel. So you don't need cruel people in your life, Pisces. Pisces people aren't cruel. Their sign rules charity. So have a very nice holiday, and stay calm and quiet if you can. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show and read our blog on our website, starborninstitute.org. Or if you'd like to subscribe and see the show on my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, then why don't you subscribe there, and I would be happy to send it to you so that we can keep in touch. All right, and very Merry Christmas. I hope you all enjoy the holidays. Bye.